Well, what good is having the Ruskies on our side anyway?
Well, it might be keeping Hitler from sending his troops across the channel.
That ain't why. He's just scared. He's scared they'll make the Yanks throw in.
What's that?
They won't. Ain't their fight.
Hey, I heard tell Hitler's only got one nut.
Here I was thinking he was completely lacking.
Whiskey, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Don't take your hat off.
I beg your pardon?
You won't be staying.
Not to worry. I'm one of the good guys. See, my hat's white.
It's great.
All hats are gray at night. Oh, I'm sorry, but Bob cannot accept that. Unaccompanied women do not pay for drinks in this bar.
Presuming?
Presuming you are a guest in our territory. One of our Commonwealth sisters?
You are Canadian, then. I mistook your accent.
From Wyoming, originally. A recent arrival like yourself.
How recent?
Well, it's hard to say. When I crossed the Itchen Mountains, nobody checked my passport.
Perhaps the customs officers had the evening off.
Well, there was a cricket match they were desperate to attend.
The Itcher Cricket League. I've never heard of them. Are they very good?
Well, they could knock out a coyote's tooth at 60 paces. But only if it was on the wicket.
The tooth or the coyote?
The tooth. We tried it with the coyote, but it wouldn't sit still.
Are you, staying in this hotel?
Only establishment in town.
Which room?
2A.
Be there in 20 minutes.
Excuse me?
Bring the whiskey.
Richmond P. Hobson Jr., Panhandle Phillips, and Gloria McIntosh Hobson were real people. And for a short period of time, in the wilderness halfway between Vancouver and the Yukon, they worked to carve out the largest cattle ranch in the world. That part is true.
Don't. I like to see the sky.
You don't have to go right away. Are you hungry?
Why?
Oh, the night is still young. We could share a meal. Have a drink. Talk.
Talk.
His overgrown bush cat was sniffing, not inches from my face. I could feel its whiskers tickling my cheek, but my legs were pinned.
What did you do?
I screamed. That cougar's breath was like wind off a hogsty. Do you always eat this much? Don't get me wrong, I find it very attractive. but most women just pick and try to pretend they don't have an appetite.
How do you know they're pretending?
Because they get so wide they need mirrors on the sides.
So, what happened to the beast?
Oh, I kept reminding him I would not be taken lightly, and he drifted off. My partner claims I just bored him, but I prefer to believe he knew I was not afraid.
Were you?
More of being pinned, to tell you the truth. An animal jumps you. That's an easy end to it.
Would no one find you? Rescue you?
Out there, you could ride for 6 days straight through, never see another living soul.
6 days?
That's the beauty of it. No interruptions. Imagination can wander free and unfettered. I dreamed of that my whole life.
Never gets lonely.
Man's thoughts can keep him company.
Until a tree drops upon you and a cougar decides to come calling.
Well, there is an element of unpredictability, but that only increases its desirability. Don't you agree?
In certain instances. Yes.
I would ask you what led you to bestow this honor upon me, but a certain phrase keeps leaping to mind.
Which is?
Don't look a gift horse in the mouth.
Discretion is the better part of valor.
That is a better way of putting it. My discretion is famous throughout these parts.
You must promise you'll never speak of this. In the unlikely event we meet again, you'll pretend we're strangers. My future depends upon that.
Scout's honor.
God, you missed a wild one last night.
You don't say.
Charlie Jarvis dunked Scoop Mitchell's beer on Pete Olstrom's head. Scoop took exception, started in on Charlie.
What happened to Pete?
He was passed out under the table, missed the whole thing. I could have used your help breaking things up.
I was indisposed. You never know when these things are going to hit you.
So how long are you in town for?
Leaving today, right after I pick up a package for Rupert Mowat.
You're doing a favor for Rupert? No wonder you were indisposed.
Rich wrote me into it.
I can only hope the item in question is extremely fragile.
Excuse me? I'm looking for Richmond Hobson.
Oh, I think you want him.
Mr. Hobson.
I'm afraid not. I'm Panhandle Phillips. Pan to my friends.
I was told to meet Richmond Hobson. He's to escort me to the Mowat Ranch.
Richmond is my partner. I'm taking his place.
So,
I'll be your escort. Don't worry. I'm the best guide in the Blackwater.
Best packer, too.
All my skills are legendary.
I'm sure they're adequate. So when do we leave, Mr. Phillips?
As soon as I get the horses ready. I didn't catch your name, Miss...
Mowat. Olivia Mowat.
Whoa, that's some package.
I've never seen the sky so blue.
Sky is generally blue.
Not in London. Perpetually foggy, grey and closed in.
You must have seen Sky on the Atlantic crossing.
No, they wouldn't let us on deck. There have been sightings of German submarines. I feel like Alice in a giant teacup. This country is vast, yet snow-capped mountains rim around it, white as bone china.
Now I see the Mowat in you.
Are you always this effusive?
I'm trying to think my way through an extremely awkward situation.
What situation is that?
Rupert Mowat. We have a certain history. I'm not sure whether I'm at a strategic advantage or disadvantage now that I've become acquainted with his sister.
I'm not Rupert's sister.
You're not?
No. We're third cousins, twice removed.
Well, now, I should have guessed Beauty and the Beast could not be related.
Might I remind you, the frog can turn into the prince, and the prince certainly
Well,
can
we
turn
better
into the
rest
frog.
here.
How far is the Mowat Ranch?
2 days. And 2 nights.
And there's not a single person or house between here and Rupert's?
Nope. That's why they call it wilderness. Do you spend your whole life in the city?
Unless you count Richmond Park, where the greatest danger is packs of marauding dachshunds. You promised.
Well, I promised we wouldn't talk about it. That doesn't mean we can't.
No, we can't.
Are you sure? I mean, you don't get much more alone. Miles from anybody?
Mr. Phillips, if you refuse to behave like a gentleman, I shall be forced to relieve myself of your company.
I'm the only company out here.
Fine, then. I'll go on alone.
Other way.
You know, you could take one of the horses across. That water's pretty cold.
Suit yourself.
Oh, now, you want to watch your step there. It's pretty slippery. Cooled off yet?
Have you?
Ages ago. In fact, I can't even remember what got you so steamed.
I expect a gentleman to keep his word.
Well, I'd never admit to being a gentleman. However, I will keep my word, provided you apologize.
Apologize? For what?
For tempting me in a moment of vulnerability and luring me into committing an immoral act, after which you callously and indifferently abandoned me.
That never happened. Very well. I apologize.
You do?
I do. Can we go now?
I think I deserve an explanation.
If memory serves, you were a most willing participant. Something just came over me.
I do have that effect on women.
Wanted One night with a stranger.
Any stranger?
More or less.
Oh. Just one night?
Just one.
Hmm.
I wanted abandonment and freedom. Before
What?
before I marry Rupert Mowat.
You're related.
Distantly.
I have seen firsthand the hazards of inbreeding. Six-legged calves, cows with four tails, bulls who prefer to recite poetry than...
Distant cousins can and do marry quite successfully.
Name two.
The royal family.
I rest my case. See, that is the difficulty with living on an island. Poor selection. Now, they'd be better off crossing the channel.
We'd be better off crossing the creek.
Have you ever met the man?
No!
Oh, that explains it then. You're not insane, just ignorant.
Rupert! What are you doing?
Is lace the fashion these days?
It passes out here.
I could take them off your hands. Have nothing in your houses that you do not know to be useful or believe to be beautiful. William Morris.
They're useful. You're living alone, and your nearest neighbors are 20 miles away. What do you need curtains for?
Living in a remote location does not mean that I have abandoned the niceties of civilization. What about a nice frock?
Rupert!
For the fabric.
If you promise to use it for curtains.
Madam.
Rupert's a queer duck. One time I caught him peering right down the chute of a glory hole.
Glory hole? What would that be?
There are some things better experienced than described, including the nature of your intended.
Don't put that up.
Tent's not going to keep you dry without a flat.
I don't want the door covered.
Lion Rain, Marion Meyer,
Pardon me?
do what you want.
It isn't a question of want. It's a question of duty.
Duty?
Yes. Mowat saved my family.
I'm sure it was inadvertent.
When our home was destroyed during the Blitz, we were forced to sleep in the underground. My father has a weak heart. If the bombings didn't kill him, well, a few more weeks in the tube certainly would have.
Sad tale. What does this have to do with Rupert?
His family invited us to live on their estate. And they asked nothing in return.
Except?
Rupert's parents are quite elderly, and he's the last of his line.
Oh.
I became aware of a way that I could repay them for their kindness.
So we're back to inbreeding again.
Is that how you look upon marriage?
Or worse, it is a condition fraught with misery.
And you base this upon personal experience, Mr. Phillips?
I do. My partner is married.
Thought you were going to Vanderhoof.
Pan went instead. There was a bunch of windfall blocking the trail to Anaheim, and he didn't feel like cutting wood.
So once again, you got stuck with all of the work.
Yes, but isn't it worth it? I'm home 2 nights sooner.
And Pan isn't.
What are you doing?
Feeding the fire so it don't get doused.
Isn't it raining?
It will. And it's going to come right through that tent.
I don't like being closed in.
Well, then you are not going to like Rupert's cabin.
Are there windows?
One has a marvelous view of the pigsty. Has a marvelous view of the pigsty.
He raises pigs?
Didn't you know? Man dotes on them. He even behaves like them. Snuffling, squealing, whining. He's beginning to look like one.
I know what he looks like.
You do?
Yes. He's approximately 5 feet 8 inches tall, 15 stone 6 in weight, carries most of the extra bulk around his midsection. He has brown eyes, prominent jowls, and a marked tendency to perspire.
I thought you hadn't met him.
I haven't. I've seen portraits in the manor. Mowats have carried a strong resemblance for 6 generations.
And having seen them up close, you plan to continue the line?
Don't be impertinent.
Don't you talk to me like that. I'm not your lackey. We're all equal here.
Equally barbaric.
Well, I think it's fairly civilized. The only duty you owe is honesty and fairness. The only debts are those you incur yourself.
Reasonable philosophy. You're not fighting a war.
Wars are created for the convenience of heroes and martyrs. I am neither.
What are your tales of daring do, if not to set yourself up as a hero?
Well, every man wants a test of character. But I don't think killing another man's the best way of doing that.
If you believe that that is what this war is about, you're assuming the rest of the world is as narrow-minded and as selfish as you are. I told you!
I'm not doing this for you!
You cannot come in here!
It's pouring!
This is highly improper. I will not permit it!
Come on, after what we've been through?
You gave your word you'd never...
Oh, you're such a hypocrite. All that talk about duty is just a load of bunk.
A man whose sole ambition is to ride the range for 6 days without seeing a fence is in no position to
The
judge my
Mowats aren't
duty.
gonna kick your family out if you don't marry Rupert. You're just desperate for a husband.
How dare you!
Oh, is it just Rupert Mowat, or will any old cowpoke do?
Oh, should I be expecting additional proposals then?
None that I know of. Oh, blunderer. Oh,
Brought you some curtain rods.
thank you.
So, you making blackout curtains? Gloria and I've got a wager.
Why aren't you in Vanderhoof?
Pan went.
You sent that ruffian in your stead.
He's reliable enough.
He's the last person I wanted to know about this.
Oh, don't worry. Pan's the best packer on the Chilcotin.
A delicate English rose in the hands of a ruffian like that?
Is that the package, a rose?
If anything happens to her,
Her? You bringing a pig, Mowat?
he's bringing my bride.
I'm not marrying out of desperation. I have had other offers.
So why didn't you take one of them?
War can change one's plans.
It's funny how you always bring up the war once things get personal.
You know, I don't see why it matters to you. You don't believe in marriage anyway.
Even I can see that you and Rupert are not a matched team.
We have similar backgrounds, which would indicate common values, shared interests,
Pigs?
literature. I have nothing against pigs.
Well, then you'll be very happy.
I've had passion in my life.
Yes, you have.
This plane went down in flames over Normandy.
Oh. I'm sorry.
Don't expect to find love again. I just want normality. What is that?
Phillips, you scoundrel! If you've laid one
Miss
hand...
Mowat, may I present Cousin Rupert?
Mr. Mowat, I've so looked forward to meeting you.
Please forgive my disheveled appearance.
And here I was thinking you'd spruced up for the occasion.
Mr. Mowat, you have nothing to apologize for. Your apparel seems entirely appropriate for the...
Circus?
territory.
I had planned a more formal introduction to my ranch.
You mean pig farm?
But when I heard about the change in plans, I felt obligated to come and meet you sooner.
I quite understand.
Oh, allow me.
This trip has been full of the unexpected.
Might as well make camp here.
Your services are no longer required. There's no need for you to stay.
Well, I'm gonna put the coffee on boil. You two can go on ahead if you like.
Miss Mowat, forgive me for speaking bluntly, but I can't help but express my grave concern that this person
Mr. Phillips.
might have caused you an indignity. If he did, I shall probably...
No. He's been an adequate guide. Although I have found this prattling and preening quite exhausting.
Well, try and get some rest then.
Thank you.
We'll have you comfortably settled tomorrow.
Move up the fire. It'll take the chill off from standing so close to her.
Miss Mowat is a woman of culture and civility.
I think she'd have been a bit more friendly. I mean, after all, you are related.
She's beyond the comprehension of a barbarian like yourself.
Well, for your sake, I hope the glacier thaws. A woman like that ain't gonna keep your cabin warm, if you know what I mean.
What are you doing?
Good, you're dressed.
Is it time to leave?
You bet. We can be miles away before he wakes up.
I am not running away with you.
But you've seen him. In the flesh.
I gave my word to the Mowats.
Hey, lover boy, up and at 'em. We got a long ride to Mowat Manor.
What?
Vamoose, we're hitting the trail.
You don't need to come. We'll be fine on our own.
Oh, no. I promised Rich that I would deliver the package, and I'm a man of my word. I would be shirking my duty if I didn't go right to your door.
Can you move any slower?
Just being careful.
Don't want to deliver any damaged goods.
Well, that's the last of it.
Finally.
Guess I'll be leaving. Well, this is goodbye then, Miss Mowat. Neighbors this far apart don't cross paths much.
Good riddance.
Oh! I almost forgot. The mail. A map to our ranch. In case you have second thoughts.
Phillips! I knew it! You've tampered with a flap on my envelope.
I will swear on a Bible. I tampered with no such flap.
Mr. Phillips? Wait. something. You weren't just anyone.
Perfidious. Presumptuous.
What's she like?
Who?
Rupert's war bride. Tell me all about her. She tall? Short?
Couldn't tell.
Fat? Thin?
Maybe.
Surely you must have noticed something.
Oh, I did notice one thing. She's a harridan.
How was your trip?
Vile.
Pan, one of the colts has rain scald.
Throw a blanket on it.
Mr. Phillips, there's some dinner left if you've changed your mind.
Haven't.
You must be getting soft. I've never known you to be this tired after a trip.
You haven't known me that long.
So, was she a young harridan or an old harridan?
If you want to know what she's like, why don't you go see for yourself?
I salvaged it from the wreckage of our home. It's a miracle it wasn't destroyed.
You've lost everything else?
Practically, yes. But we escaped with our lives.
How did you endure?
How one does what one must.
How did you find the journey from Vanderhoof?
Relatively uneventful.
Oh.
Did Mr. Phillips suggest otherwise?
No. In fact, he's had very little to say.
I'm afraid I botched the curtains.
I could sew them for you.
No point. Olivia doesn't want them.
Well, of course. She'd like the fabric to blend with the room. When we go to Vanderhoof, I could...
Thank you. But that won't be necessary.
It's not the fabric. She doesn't want curtains at all.
You see, well, I'm afraid I've become a bit of a claustrophobe.
She'll barely set foot in the cabin. If it's raining on our wedding day, we'll have to get married in oilskins.
Have you set the date?
1 week, two at the most.
You ever seen him chop wood before?
Only when he's mad.
Mr. Hobson, what's wrong with Pan?
Hard to say, but you better start stacking. Oh, so how was the bride of Mowat?
Surprisingly, she does have a full set of teeth.
You didn't bring her back.
Was I supposed to?
1941, and you were going to allow that woman to be brokered off like a piece of livestock?
You object to women being treated like chattel?
I object to a bad trade. She's worth 10 of Rupert.
Well, it's up to her to decide.
Rich and I are invited to the wedding.
Thunder and Jehoshaphat. Either the world's turned upside down or you have gone completely witless.
Easy, Pan.
Win.
Since the dawn of time, have you ever heard of a woman failing to involve herself in the matrimonial affairs of another?
Well, it is odd.
The one time I depend on you to be meddlesome, and you fail me.
What the hell's wrong with him?
I think he's in love with the harridan.
You like hauling slop?
Don't mind it.
There are other options.
Oh?
Ride the range. Run a camp kitchen. Woman like yourself, intelligent, enlightened. You don't have to marry. You could support yourself and be free.
From what?
Deconstricting conventions of a repressive and antiquated society.
Marriage.
Marriage.
So, you are suggesting that I leave here and support myself as a laborer in order to be free?
To be with me. Whenever the urge arises.
So, we should follow our urges then.
Absolutely.
Any urge?
Any urge.
Where you been?
Nowhere.
Where are you going?
Bat Noonie?
Would this have anything to do with the bride of Mowat?
The Mowats are a scourge. A plague not visited upon mankind since God punished Egypt.
How long are you going for?
Could be forever.
Can you be more specific?
No, I can't. That's the whole point of being a cowboy.
Olivia says that she's having nightmares. She bursts into tears at inopportune moments. She refuses to sleep in the cabin.
What brought this on?
No, we have behaved with the utmost propriety. But she insists that she'd be more comfortable in that tent. She is becoming increasingly distraught, and I am unable to discern what precisely is the matter.
Excuse me, Rupert.
But...
Go get Pan.
Gloria, we just don't meddle into people's affairs out here. It's the frontier code.
The code doesn't apply in this situation.
What do you mean?
Pan asked me to meddle. Now go.
Yeah.
It's about Olivia.
Hobson, you're not supposed to be chasing me down to talk about a woman?
I don't know. We never dealt with the romantic aspects of the cowboy life.
A regrettable lapse, which explains how, when we went to round up horses, you came back with a wife.
I take full responsibility for my choices. Thank
Had
you.
I had the opportunity, I would have told you that marriage is a disease that corrodes the mind to the point where the sufferer is unaware of his own suffering, much like lunacy or delirium.
Olivia's very unhappy.
She is?
Olivia? Are you all right, my dear?
Just taking liberty of a moment. Mend your
My dear?
Just taking liberty of a moment. Mend your trousers. Afraid my eyes are a trifle strained.
Very kind of you.
It's the least I could do. Rupert, you know I came to Canada with the best of intentions.
You've been through a tremendous shock.
I don't know what's come over me. I go to bed and the whole world starts to spin. I find myself just quite unable to sleep.
So you said.
Perhaps if you'll just give me some time. I have been through quite an ordeal.
Perhaps you might go to the well and soak your eyes. Cold water can relieve the strain.
That's very kind of you. Rupert. Thank you.
She's miserable. You can't let her marry him.
I tried to talk her out of it. She dumped a pail of pig slop on me.
What'd you say to her exactly?
I told her that this was the new world and that a man and a woman needn't feel constrained by the traditions of the old.
A lot of women might not see that as an option, Pan.
Most women would see that as a load of horse manure.
That's what the territory offers. Freedom. To be governed only by the most fundamental laws of human decency.
She's miserable, and you're telling her that she's free to ride the range?
That's her choice. The shackles of convention or the joys of freedom.
How happy have you been with all of this freedom?
I've been ecstatic. I expect after a couple of weeks in Batnooney that my emotions will settle to their natural order.
Like sediment.
Like pebbles in a mountain stream.
You could spend the next 50 years in Batnooney, and every day you'll regret that you let her slip away.
It's not my choice. She says she wants Rupert. She was quite insistent.
You coward.
Gloria, where are you going?
Back to Batnooney.
See, he is a coward.
A tactical retreat is the only option available when inundated by the female of the species.
Inundated?
Olivia attacks me for not respecting her wishes. You attack me for respecting them. I cannot win.
How do you know what her wishes are?
She told me she is going to marry Rupert.
Do you always say everything you mean?
Women have been known to change their mind a time or two.
If they are presented with a viable alternative.
I offered her the greatest gift a man can give. Freedom.
I guess she wants second best. Marriage.
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 It is not in my nature to compromise.
Oh, that's right. Pan's an idealist. Better let Olivia rot with Rupert than ever back down.
Perfect. When they come over to play bridge, you could serve those little sandwiches.